Hello, Saints Nation. As you've probably heard by now, Seaside Events and the New Orleans Saints have come together to plan the official Saints Legends fan cruise aboard the amazing Norwegian Getaway sailing out of New Orleans, Louisiana in April of 2025. I'm Nick Valinchak, and I can't wait to sail away with you on this inaugural Saints Legends fan cruise. This journey promises fun, adventure, and plenty of football chatter along the way. For more information, visit saintslegendscruise.com, and let's gear up to paint the seas black and gold. And today, I'm joined by a man I remember watching in the very early years of my life when I fell in love with the sport of football. NFL leading 18 touchdowns in 1989, spent 8 years in the NFL, all of which it looks like with the New Orleans Saints. Coming straight out of LSU, running back Dalton Hilliard. How are we doing today, Dalton?
Doing well, Nick, man. It's a pleasure being here with you.
Yeah, it's great to have you, and I'm glad we got to figure out technology. And as the years go by, it gets harder and harder for me to explain to people how to use it because I don't know how to use it myself. I have a 6-year-old that I have to use as a reference to do most things these days. But the point is, we're here now, and we're excited to talk about your life in the National Football League, what you're up to now, and the upcoming cruise. So let's jump right into it. Came out of LSU, selected in the second round, right? Nowadays, that would have been a first-round pick, technically 31st. So, you got to adjust things a little bit. I think it's fair that you could tell people you're a first-round pick. Had a hell of an NFL career, a hell of a collegiate career. Why don't you talk to me a little bit about transitioning from what it's like to transition from the college ranks to the pro ranks?
Well, definitely, Nick, it's a situation that you really have to mature very fast. Being able to, maneuver even from high school to college, based on the size of the individual, the talent of the guys. And man, you get to that major level of playing college football at a high level, especially going to LSU, playing in the SEC, man, that physical conference really prepare you for what you're looking forward to in the NFL. Had the opportunity to play LSU 4 years, great time. I learned a lot. And being a guy from Louisiana, went to Patterson High School, played at LSU, and wow, get drafted by the New Orleans Saints. Everybody in Louisiana, especially the south part of Louisiana, they love the Saints. And the Saints had a big fanfare, especially in Patterson, Louisiana.
Yeah, that's great. And nowadays, LSU has remained super relevant in the college football conversation. Will be an interesting transition into the NFL, into college football with the 12-team playoff this year, transitioning out of what was 2 really extremely solid years with Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas. But they have a good squad that they should be able to do big things with this year. Kind of want to talk to you now about your time with the Saints. Like we said, you played with the Saints from 86 to 93, enough to get, added to their anniversary team. You were Pro Bowler 1989, Saints Hall of Fame 98. Is there something about your time with the Saints, a memory that sticks out in particular to you?
Well, definitely being drafted by the Saints was a dream come true for me and my family, my wife, my children, being from Louisiana. I think it was one of those special moments, be part of history. The Saints never having a winning season during the time when I was younger, watching them play, and realize now I'm being drafted by this team. So basically in '87, part of history, part of accomplished something very special as the first winning season that the Saints ever had. Developed a lot of great memories with some friends. Being drafted with Jim Dabrowski that same year, Pat Swilling that same year. Had a lot of talent on the team with Jim Moore, especially the Dawn Patrol with Ricky and the rest of the guys with Vaughn and Sam. The pleasure with Buford Jordan, Louisiana guy, Eric Martin. Him and I went to LSU together. And also you have the special guy like Bobby Hebert and John Forcade, those 2 quarterbacks here from Louisiana. So we had that Louisiana atmosphere. I had the pleasure of enjoying the friendship, developing a relationship with these guys. And really, football was something special, and that strengthened our relationship, Nick.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to me because as I'm going through and interviewing a lot of the legends that are going to be on the cruise, there have been so many accomplishments um, by these players and by these Saints teams. And what's probably most interesting to me is just adapting what I know the Saints to be, right? And so for so much of my football life, the Saints have been like an omnipresent, high profile passing attack, always in the playoff Super Bowl conversation because of Drew Brees and the teams that were built around that time. It's easy to forget that there was once a point where this was a team that didn't have a winning season. And now I've been able to talk to you. I've been able to talk to Brett Maxey. I've been able to talk to Van Jakes and just hear about how, like, something that I would maybe gloss over a little bit as just being like, yeah, that's a cool thing to be able to say that you were the part of the first winning team, but like genuinely how much pride and almost like after so many losing seasons, it's never going to be a Super Bowl, but it was like a mini Super Bowl being able to like walk the team across that first barrier, right? Getting it past that point where they've been the Aints. Everybody I've talked to has mentioned the Aints and how excited they were to kind of put that S on it. And it's really quite something to hear the passion in the voices of the players that were there at that time. Kind of going along with that, I mean, you had a really storied career there. Obviously, I mentioned the NFL leading touchdowns in 1989. I want to kind of get into your mind. Was there it's easy to ask, was there a team? And everyone's always going to respond with the division rivals, yet, right? Because that's who you do get up for most. But was there a player in specific that when you stepped on the field or when you saw that they were coming up on the schedule, you were like, okay, my blood is boiling. I can't wait to get out there because I'm going to truck them. Or you knew like, okay, that's a bad boy across the line for me, and I'm going to have to step my game up if I really want to show out this week?
Well, that's a great question, that Nick. Is sort of like, bringing still chills to my body. Speaking of a Pacific guy that I got in mind that I played against twice per season for the past 8 years, defensive back by the name of Ronnie Lott. You had to understand that it's a physical game with this gentleman. He's definitely a Hall of Famer, a well-deserving guy who played tremendously throughout his career. But the Saints against San Francisco always been one of those games that we know we had to be prepared mentally and physically in order to be able to challenge that team because of what they ran offensively and what they ran defensively, and knowing it's going to be a physical game when we play against them. So every time I had opportunity to play against San Francisco, Ronnie Lott, it's always been a physical battle. It's always been something that you had to prepare yourself mentally that week, understanding that your body had to be ready, your mind had to be ready, and the challenge was coming. And the challenge was there. But I think we played that team very well throughout my career. It's always been a close game. It's always been a challenging game. And it's always meant something for the conference when we played against San Francisco and I played against Ronnie Lott. One of those physical games that, I realized, this guy hit me when I'm out of bounds, but he'll pick me up, and we'll do the same. So Ronnie Lott was probably the most challenging guy I ever faced.
You kind of love hearing that, right? That they'll kick a little dirt in your face, but they'll help you clean it off at the same time too, because they wanted to let you know that they respect your talent, right? They know you're amongst the best in the league, but they're not going to they don't want to let you know that. They want to let you know that they're still going to put the hit on you. And to a man, I have to be honest, everybody I've talked to so much has basically responded in that same vein, where it was San Francisco. If it was someone who played on the offensive side of the ball, you were talking Ronnie Lott. If it was someone on the defensive side of the ball, we got up for Montana. We got up for Jerry Rice. Those were the players that constantly get mentioned, and with good reason. I mean, the pedigree and what they put down on paper in that time period is truly special, even into 2024. So now we're at a point where you've been gone from the game, and I'm sure it doesn't feel like 20 years. I don't know if you've thought about it like that, but it's been 20 years outside of the active, NFL competition. I'm sure the game has changed somewhat. There's no denying it, right? We know that this is more of like a passing league. And it's also that I feel like the talent, because of what we know about how to take care of our bodies and things like that, the level of talent kind of gets closer and closer every year, that it becomes more and more difficult to kind of like keep your spot unless you're constantly putting in that like Kobe Bryant level effort. If you had to send a message to the Saints players today, especially the young ones, what would it be, on or off the field or both?
Well, basically, football is, year round. You have to really understand that you have to take care of your body, take care of your mind. You know, as the game has changed, realize this, to me, it's not as physical as it used to be, but it's even more tough mentally, than it used to be. So it might not be as physical as it used to be, but the mental capacity is a whole lot more tougher because there's a lot more strategy, a lot more tendencies, a lot more different designs. So you have to be really mentally prepared and having your mindset understand that your body is ready, your mind is ready, and going into the following season, football is going to be there. So you have to take care of your body, take care of your mind in the off season, realizing you have to put in the work that everyone don't do, and that's why you're so special, because you have to put in that work. You have to be up when everyone is sleeping and doing something, and that part of the game will make you special. Only thing I believe separates the NFL players from each other is the ones who's able to stay healthy for the season, the whole season, consistently staying healthy, because talent is there, physicality is there. The mental capacity you have to build and develop and train your mind, train your body to be able to be consistent. And being consistent, being fortunate enough to stay healthy, I think that's the thing that keep these guys separated from each other. And my advice to the players, the Saints players, the young players, the players that are playing now, taking care of your body, taking care of your mind, being focused and being consistent. That's the key.
Yeah, and you mentioned health, and for me, that there are two players like specifically that jump out to me, not related to the Saints even, a guy named Tim Patrick from the Broncos, a receiver, who you see the talent that can be there, but in back-to-back seasons has just lost the entire season to, training camp injuries, and there's something there that's hurting that ability to stay on the field. And then Christian Watson from the Green Bay Packers as well, who's dealt with a significant amount of hamstring injuries, to the extent that the NFL has actually put money into, I can't remember the university specifically, but they basically sent Christian Watson there to have testing done on his hamstring to figure out, like, well, this guy could be a great in our sport, and we don't want to keep potential greats off the field. So, like, what do we have to do? What's going on here that we could possibly do? And then, we've seen unfortunate situations over the last decade where CTE has played such a tremendous impact on the end of life status of several great NFL players and former NFL players. So I think the league in general is trying to adapt to try to like cultivate a situation where it's still a tough enough game, but that there's still some kind of quality of life after the on the field type of things end. So speaking on that, I'm really interested to hear, what has Dalton Hilliard been up to since taking the shoulder pads off?
Well, basically, I've been very fortunate, being a Louisiana guy, transitioning after football. Like any other thing, I think all the athletes would probably say it's a challenge, but we built with that in our mindset as young uh, kids growing up, being able to understand that's a challenge in life and going forward and trying to meet those goals. I dreamed as a young kid when I was 7, 8, probably 12, 14 years of age, of course, continuing that process of wanting to play in the NFL. And I accomplished that goal. I dreamed about playing in the NFL. Dreamed about, watching, seeing, all special things around the NFL. I was a part of that. So now my challenge after football, man, I've got into the all field staffing agency, supply skilled laborers, welders, fitters, painters, and blasters to a lot of the major fabrication shipyards throughout the Gulf Coast. Would have been very fortunate, throughout my career in a way of understanding that. I have been. I would have been a welder fitter by trade if I wouldn't have been fortunate to carry a football. So I opened that type of company, established that type of entity. So through my time, still trying to play a little golf in between, enjoying life. Married, wonderful kid, daughter's doing great, and life is great for me. I watch a little football too. I
Yeah.
still call it the Saints. The Saints are still part of my, I would say, family. Looking forward to seeing those guys play every Sunday. So now we have an opportunity to hang out with some of my friends who I play with on this cruise. Man, it's going to be something special to hear those stories, talk to those guys, share that with the fans. Looking forward to seeing them on the cruise. It's coming out of New Orleans. We all going to be here enjoying ourselves. And if you're willing to participate and get to know the players, this is a great time.
Are you an avid cruiser? Have you been on them before?
I've been on quite a few throughout my career. Haven't been on one in quite some time. My wife still partake in the cruise with family members, and my kids, and she still enjoyed them. I've probably been on about 10 to 12. So I've been on quite a
Okay.
few. Looking forward to going back to Cozumel for sure. Enjoy that.
That's what I was getting ready to ask you. So what is specifically about Cozumel sticks out to you as an exciting destination?
Well, I just enjoy the atmosphere, going back, trying to remember the things I've done. But when you get a chance to lay around and tour around and see different people and the way they live and enjoy the atmosphere, and that's what it's about, snorkeling or getting in the water or just, fellowshipping with my family and friends, and saints and the fans. And I think this is a great opportunity for the fans to be out there and get to know the players that played, and that shared and poured their heart out on that field. They watch, and now you get a chance to touch them, got a chance to say hi. I'm looking forward to it, Nick.
I'm sure that several of you are going to try to get together and find a golf course somewhere based off of who I've talked to so far. So I think that'll be a big part of it. But we have a lot of other things planned. We've got a couple beach parties, coming and going parties, question and answer sessions, trivia. Is there anything specifically on kind of that list that stands out to you as one of those, like, okay, I'm really actually excited to be a part of that because I can't wait to see what other people have to say, or I like the competition so much? Is there anything that stands out to you from that respect?
Well, just to interact with the fans. Always been blessed and very fortunate to play in the NFL, and always pride myself in socializing with people, and for them to look at me as someone special playing in the NFL, I think is something that we should have respect for. To answer any questions that you can about the game and what you felt about the game and the team we played during that time, and just bringing up some old great memories that we all have had as players, sitting around and sharing it with the fans. And if you're a true fan, you need to be on that cruise. It's going to be a wonderful time.
Yeah, so going along with that, if someone is on the fence about joining the cruise, what would you say to them to push them to come on next year?
Well, one thing you can't be on the fence. You got to be on one side or the other. So I'm trying to tell them to get on the other side of that fence where the cruise is going, to participate with some great players. You got Pat Sewell and Ricky Jackson and quite a few other guys, Fred McAfee and all the other players that you may have seen and really enjoy watching. I'm sure all these guys, plus myself, have some wonderful stories about, when we played, what we accomplished. And we want to share that with you. We want to have the time to relax and enjoy the moment and look back on our past and have a great time to explore what we accomplished and share that with you. So we're looking forward to the fans coming out, enjoying themselves on the cruise, so we can still continue the family and the relationship we have with the fans and show them that we really appreciate them.
Well, Dalton, I want to thank you again, especially given the technical difficulties we had to get this thing going. As we close out, are you on social media so that fans could follow you?
No, not really on social media so much, man. I'm pretty one of those guys. This is the biggest interview I've done in quite some time, so I'm probably eager to share more of my stories. So really, I'm really not on social media.
Well, we consider ourselves honored that you were willing to open yourself up for this today and excited to join you on the cruise and have some fun. For everyone else in Saints Nation, you can find us on Instagram at Saints Legends Fan Cruise. Hey, that's all for today. Remember, the inaugural Saints Legends Fan Cruise sets sail in April 2025 aboard the Norwegian Getaway. Don't miss this chance to cruise with your favorite Saints legends like Dalton and other fans. For all the details and to book your spot, head over to saintslegendscruise.com, and I'll see you on board.